APSC Bro welcomes you to this video. There had been a recent notification by Assam Public Service Commission dated 2nd December 2022 in which they have advertised 63 numbers of civil engineering posts under Water Resource Department as assistant engineers. So it's a golden opportunity for all the civil engineer brothers out there to apply and get selected for government services, that too under a department like Water Resource Department. So go ahead, apply for it and start your preparation. Now while starting your preparation, there will be a lot of questions. You might be thinking how to go about the preparation, which are the important topics that I have to follow. Many things will be there. To simplify your doubts and other things, what we have done here in this video is that we have analyzed the previous assistant engineer civil examination conducted by APSC, which was advertised in 2019 under the same department, Water Resource Department. Okay, in this video we'll be analyzing both the GS and civil engineering questions asked and the topics on which the questions has been asked. If you have not gone through our videos, go through the video in which we have discussed on the strategies that we can follow in order to prepare for general studies for engineering departmental exams conducted by APSC. The link of the video will be there in the description box. If you have not gone through that video, please go through that video. It will be very helpful in your preparation of the general studies question papers. Okay. Now, one thing keep in mind that while analyzing this video will be question paper, will be telling you the topics on which questions has been asked in the previous question paper. Okay, so it is not necessary that this year the same pattern will be followed. There might be a change in pattern also, but this video will give you an idea of the topics on which question has been asked before and on which there is a probability that there might be a repetition. So what you can do is first prepare all the topics on which previously questions has been asked and then cover all the other important topics of the both GS and civil engineering subject. For that we'll be helping you with other videos that will be coming up recently. Okay, let's begin. In the last year question paper by conducted by Water Resource Department for Water Resource Department conducted by APSC, this was the question paper. Okay, it was for 200 marks. 100 questions were being asked and there was only one question paper in which there were questions from both general studies and civil engineering. Okay, if you'll have a look at this section wise, you see they have equal weightage. About this weightage of general studies and civil engineering we have discussed in detail in our last video regarding strategy, right? Please go through that. If you see here, both the subject have equal weightage. That is, they have asked 50 questions from general studies and they have asked 50 questions from civil engineering. So you can never neglect the general studies paper. Yes, if you don't do good preparation for general studies and only focus your preparation on civil engineering, even if you get 40-45 marks in civil engineering and you get very poor marks in general studies, your chances of selection is very less. Okay, so you have to give good importance to your general studies preparation also. Now, one important thing, in the last year paper for Water Resource Department, 100 questions were being asked. There was only single paper. But if you see other departmental exams as like PWD and other things, two papers has been asked. Yes, one for general studies and separately for civil engineering. This year what is going to be pattern will be discussing you when notifications come out. But for now, the last year there was one question paper in which there were questions from both civil engineering and general studies, 50 questions each. Okay, first we'll be discussing what are the questions and what are the subjects from which general studies questions were being asked. 50 questions. Okay, if you see, 9 questions were being asked from general knowledge and current affairs. What we have, the questions which we have put in this category are the current affairs question, and the questions which are basically general awareness or general knowledge questions which we cannot usually categorize in any other subject. Like there was a question, which country has become the largest and fastest growing market of YouTube? Now that is a current affairs question. Okay, there was a question, according to World Health Organization, what is the global life expectancy? So this type of questions come under this category, GK and current affairs. So for this you have to go through all the current affairs at least for the last 12 years. For that you can follow any website that you can get hold of, GK Today or India Bix or anything. Or if you are preparing for UPSC or APSC, you can go to Vision IS website, IS Baba, or anything that you are comfortable with. Reading newspaper is very important. Keep reading newspaper from now on if you have not started it yet. So this GK and current affairs, you have to follow at least 12 months current affairs questions. Yes, lucent lucent general knowledge book, if you get hold of, solve the questions. So from there also you can get some good idea of what kind of questions can be asked. Okay, now if you go further, it's a very important thing that 15 questions has been asked from history alone, and this shows how important this subject is. That is why in our channel, while we have just started our channel, what we have done is the first videos that we have included for general studies preparation, we are doing it on history, specifically Assam history, because we understand how important this subject is. 15 questions, that means 30% of the total questions was from history. There has been no other subject which has this much of weightage in the question paper. Okay, out of these 15 questions, 4 questions were from Assam. You see, Indian history there were 11 questions, and Assam history there were 5 questions. Okay, 4 questions, sorry. Now, if we further categorize it, Indian history, out of the 11 questions, you see ancient Indian history were 3 questions, medieval 2, modern 6. So ancient Indian history, when you say that, we usually mean the Indus Valley civilization, Rig Vedic age, the Mauryan dynasty, up to when the Muslim invasions happen. From Muslim invasion up to the Europeans coming into India, that part is regarded as medieval, and from the Europeans coming into Indian subcontinent and then the British rule and up to the recent past, we include it in modern Indian history. So you see, 3 questions was being asked from ancient, yes, 2 from medieval, and 6 from modern. Modern Indian history is very important. That is the Indian freedom struggle. Every other questions which from which these questions are being asked, modern Indian history, have a good read in it. Okay, if you have into look into the topics on which questions were being asked, there was a question on Harshavardhana, there was a question on Harappan civilization. So as I have told, Indus Valley civilization, very important. Read all the Indus Valley civilization sites, Mohenjo-daro, Lothal, Sarkodada, everything. Okay, Fatehpur Sikri, there was a question. There were 6 questions from British rule. That is very important. 6 questions. Okay, there was a question from Brahmi script and then Miles Bronson. Okay, so make a note of all the important topics that we have discussed now and prepare them for a further exam. Okay, let's go. So 15 questions from history, 4 out of that 4 from Assam. Next, geography, 9 questions. Okay, one thing I would like to inform here is that geography, there are 2 parts of geography. One is the physical geography, in which you read the maps, the river system, the climate, everything. Yes. Another part is the human geography, in which you read the human populations, the cultures, even culture. Sometimes you can treat it as a separate subject. Sometimes you can include it in geography also. Yes. Now, out of that 9 questions, 8 questions were from India and 1 question was from Assam. Okay, so that takes the total Assam based question up to now to 5. Okay, so out of the questions that were asked from geography, important were from Baresahornia Bhavna, that is from Assam. Like which place is famous for Baresahornia Bhavna, various dance forms, the river systems. The river system is very important for any exam point of view, both the Himalayan river system and the peninsular river system. All the important rivers, read them. The recent projects that are coming up in various rivers, like the interlinking and other things, that are important. The Indian borders, about the Indian borders, which country shares what border with India, all this we have discussed in one weekly MCQ video. Please go through that, it will be very helpful. We have discussed in detail about the borders of India in that video. Rainfall, like the monsoon and other things are always very important. Steel plants, like where the Bhilai steel plant located, Rourkela steel plant. So this type of questions are important, and specifically the northeastern states. If you are appearing for APSC, northeastern states are important. Recently there is a trend that even if you are preparing for UPSC, there will be questions, a lot of questions from northeastern states. Okay, next if you see economy, there are 2 questions that has been asked from economy, and both these questions are from Assam. So this takes your Assam based question to 7. Okay, So if you have a look into this, the economy, the budget, last year budget, the important schemes, these are very important. The economic survey, they are very important. So, otherwise the static economic part, lot of questions are usually asked from the macroeconomics, like repo rate, reverse repo rate, bank rate, and other things. We'll be discussing this in detail when we do the economic sections of our video. Next, polity is very very important part of any syllabus. See, in this paper specifically, history consisted 15 questions, but this will always not be very constant. Sometimes it may come down to 10, sometimes 12. But polity, it will always have at least 15 to 20% of weightage of the GS paper. Okay, so polity, you have to read it. Yes. Now, out of that 8 questions from polity, one question was from Assam polity. The important topics from which questions were being asked on polity was Article 370, that is Jammu Kashmir, drafting committee, like who was the chairman of the drafting committee of Indian Constitution, who are the members, these things are important. 42nd amendment, constitutional amendment, is very important. It is known as the mini constitution because it brought about a lot of changes in the constitution. So please go look into it. 42nd amendment, 44th amendment, they are very important. There were questions on articles. This is always being asked, like articles from 1 to 32, the articles related to the IT principles, articles related to constitutional positions, president, prime minister, governor, state government, articles related to panchayati raj institutions. Yes, these are very important. Attorney general, controller, and auditor general, these things are very important. Okay, these are the important topics. Read about them. Next, if you see, there was 7 questions from science and tech. Now, if you say science and tech, it's usually the science and tech questions are asked from current affairs. And specifically, if you see, defense related science and tech, space mission related science and tech are very important. And if there is any other important vaccines coming up, other outbreaks going on, so these things are important. And because you are appearing for a technical exam, technical department exam, science and tech questions you can expect to come. Okay, so prepare them well. So this was all about the general studies section. That are 50 questions we have discussed on from various subjects from where they were being asked, the important topics on which questions are being asked. Make a note of all of them. This will help you, guide you in your preparation for the upcoming exam. Okay, now if you go into the civil engineering subject wise weightage, if you see, we have divided into as many subjects that we can. The first subject that we'll be discussing is the building material and construction technology. Very important for any exam. Building material and construction technology is an important subject from which the various building materials like cement, aggregate, bitumen, these questions are being asked on the tests that are to be done, the quality of construction material to be used. These are very important. Okay, so if you see in this paper specifically, there were questions on concrete strength, that is the characteristic strength. Creep, that means you have to learn the various properties of the building materials like creep, workability, etc. Then the construction material, aggregate, bricks, cement, concrete, all the related properties, their tests, these are important. Okay, now soil is another very important subject. 4 questions were being asked in this paper, but otherwise soil usually have a higher weightage in any paper. Okay, no matter which department you are appearing for, soil is one of the most important subject. Okay, in this paper there was a question on bearing capacity, there was a question on angle of internal friction, that is very important. So there was a question on specific gravity. Okay, we'll be doing in details of what are the important topics that can be asked in further videos. Next important subject is SOM, strength of material, one of the most important subjects. Even if it's for mechanical department or civil department, strength of material is one of the most important subject, and it, like soil, strength of material usually has a greater weightage. But in this paper there are only 5 questions that were being asked. There was the question on slenderness ratio, Poisson's ratio, point of contraflexure, resultant force. Resultant force question is the most repeated question. I'm telling you, there will be always a question ki there is 5 Newton force and a 10 Newton force meeting at angle this much, what will be the resultant force? So this question is one of the most repeated question. Okay, please read it. Beam deflection, there was a question on beam deflection. All these topics, have a look into that. There is another question that came from design of concrete structure, and this question also came from beams. So beams is one of the important part. Yes, deflection of beams, the reinforcement of beams. These questions are usually question they will ask. Okay. Now, because this is a water resource department exam, hydraulics and fluid has a very important part also. This subject is usually not asked when there is a paper for PWD department, but when you are appearing for water resource department, it is a very important subject. Now, what are the topics from where questions were asked? It was Reynolds number, hydraulic forces. There was a question on pumps. I have seen repeated question on pumps also. So these are the topics from which question was asked from hydraulics. Survey. Now, survey is one subject which you will get good number of questions, and because survey has a limited syllabus, we cannot afford to lose marks in survey. You have to get 5 on 5 in survey. Okay. Now the questions from where it was asked: types of survey, yes, bearing, forward and backward, contours, on terminology. So get hold of a book, survey book, read the glossary part. The terminologies are very important. Yes, plane table surveying, compass surveying, these are very important. The syllabus is small, so have a good thorough reading of survey. Okay. Now, because it was water resource department, and in this subject specifically in this paper, a lot of weightage was given on environment. The importance of environment awareness is coming up, so you can expect some questions on environment. Now, when you say environment, it has two parts. One is the water supply part and the water treatment, and one is the sewage part, environmental engineering 1 and environmental engineering 2, which we get, right? So there were questions on water quality and pollution, very important topic. There was a question on dissolved oxygen. Similarly, you can get aspect questions from BOD and COD, biological oxygen demand and chemical oxygen demand. There were questions on water treatment, pH, water filters. There might be questions on sewage also. Okay, so this is a very important environmental science, but again these questions can be attempted and can be prepared, so please go through them. Now irrigation, there was two questions mainly on canals. Have a quick look into Lacy's theorem and Kennedy's theorem if you get hold of it. And an irrigation scheme, like minor, what is called a minor irrigation scheme, what is a major irrigation scheme, there was a question on that. Okay. Next subject, transportation. When you are preparing for PWD and other, transportation is very important. Even in this paper, you see there was a lot of questions, 6 questions from transportation. There were questions on traffic signals, super elevation. So when I am saying super elevation, the entire geometric design part is very important. Contour, the cambers, the slopes, gradients, these are very important. Extra widening, stopping side distance, overtaking side distance. The entire geometric design section is very important. PCU is passenger car unit, that is how you scale a vehicle in terms of a passenger car. It is usually in terms of 1, 2, 3. When I say there is a PCU value of a vehicle is 3, I mean the weightage of that vehicle is 3 times of a passenger car. Okay, we'll be discussing this when we do further question videos on civil engineering. There's a question on bitumen. This is also building material, right? So next subject was hydrology. Hydrology is again also an important part of any water resource department exam. Here there were questions from return period, lysimeter. So all these measurement instruments through which you can, devices through which you can measure different properties are very important. River flow, iso height, what are different curves and other things is a very important. On dams you'll get. So hydrology is an important subject when you are preparing for water resource department. Okay, next important subject that you see is the CPM, construction project management. So this subject usually you can expect 1 or 2 questions, and you cannot afford to lose this because this is very easy. There are only few topics from this subject which are important. All the terminologies, what is an activity, yes, what is an event, these are important. There's only 2 parts, the CPM and the part, yes. So how to find the project duration, optimum project duration, what is the critical path, these things are very important. Short syllabus, have a good look into it, prepare. If you solve most of the questions that you get from any question bank, you'll be able to easily attempt this too. So never afford to lose these 2 marks, they're easy marks. Okay, so this was the overall review or analysis of the last year water resource department examination for Eastern Engineer. We'll be coming up with important topics and important questions in a subsequent video. Keep following our channel, like and subscribe it, support us so that we can be of more help with you. I'm your brother, I'm APSC Pro. We'll be brothers in hand in this struggle for position in the APSC. So keep following us, support us. Thank you so much.